Welcome to the module on monitoring and evaluation. In this module, the learner will know how various aspects of monitoring and evaluation and its relationship with project administration is done. The learning objectives for this lecture are firstly to help the learner know the definitional difference between monitoring and evaluation. Secondly, the objective is to help the learner understand the purpose of monitoring and evaluation in social welfare setup. Thirdly, I will try to introduce the monitoring and evaluation cycle. Fourthly, we will try to understand the basic steps in monitoring and evaluation. Finally, we will try to understand the 5 evaluation criteria and the use of log frame approach in monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation, popularly known as M&E, is a set of very important techniques used in project management. According to the Oxford Dictionary, monitoring is careful observation of a process or an activity to check that the activity is carried out fairly. Evaluation, on the other hand, is an opinion of the amount, value and quality of the work done. Program evaluation and monitoring evolved as a systematic process during the 1990s to measure the impact of social programs and policies aimed at improving the welfare of citizens, especially the disadvantaged group. In social welfare administration, monitoring and evaluation is very important. Almost all NGOs or social welfare agencies use some form of monitoring or evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation of the work is usually done by internal personnel or by external agencies. What is monitoring and evaluation? According to UNAIDS, monitoring is routine tracking and reporting of priority information about a project or a program input or activities to the concerned staff or superiors. On the other hand, evaluation is the systematic collection of information about activities, characteristics, outcome of specific program to determine the merit and worth of the project. Evaluation provides credible information for improving programs, identifying lessons learned and informing decisions about future resource allocation. Janet differentiates monitoring and evaluation in different manner. According to her, monitoring is a systematic collection and analysis of information as a project progresses, wherein evaluation is the comparison of actual project impact against the agreed strategic plans. Monitoring is aimed at improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the project, whereas evaluation looks at what you set out to do and how you have accomplished it. Thirdly, monitoring is based on targets set and activities planned during a planned phase of work, whereas evaluation can be formative, that takes place in the life of the project, or summative, which at the end of the project, which helps in drawing learnings from the completed project. There are 3 key aspects in monitoring and evaluation. They are efficiency, effectiveness and impact. What is efficiency? Efficiency is the extent to which your time, effort and cost are well used for the intended purpose. Second is effectiveness. Effectiveness is the degree to which objectives are achieved and to the extent to which the target issues are solved. Thirdly, impact. Impact is a marked effect or influence on the target population. Now we will move on to the purpose of monitoring and evaluation. The purpose of monitoring is to learn from experiences to improve the practices and activities in the future. Monitoring also helps in increasing the internal and external accountability of the resources used and the results obtained. Monitoring also takes informed decision on the future of the initiative. On the other hand, the purpose of evaluation is to systematically assess the completed project, to appraise the data and the information that informs strategic decisions. Thus, it improves the project and the program in the future. Thirdly, it helps in drawing conclusion about 5 major aspects of intervention, namely relevance, effectiveness, efficiency, impact and sustainability. Now, let us move on to the concept of monitoring and evaluation cycle. Monitoring and evaluation cycle refers to a series of events which happens in project's lifespan. There are different phases in monitoring and evaluation. The phases are planning, implementation, monitoring and evaluation. In short form, it is called PIME: planning, implementation, monitoring and evaluation. What is planning? Planning is the phase in which certain aspects of the projects are developed, such as project proposal, log frame, budget, personal deployment plan, etc. Implementation. Implementation is the crucial phase of putting the plan into practice by following documents such as the project proposal. Monitoring. Monitoring is the constant observation process which happens throughout the entire project period. Evaluation. Evaluation is the mid-term or the final assessment of the output and worth of the entire project. Any project starts with the planning process followed by the implementation of the same. There is also constant monitoring of whether the project milestones are achieved. Finally, after the end of every project period or during the midterm, an evaluation exercise for the entire project of a part of the project is conducted. The evaluation helps to identify the learner above the period of time. The results and learning is fed into the preparation of newer plans and perspective plans. Thus, the monitoring and evaluation process is cyclical and vital in the lifespan of project and development of new projects. Now that we have learned the basics, let us move on to understand the steps in monitoring. Basically, there are 3 steps in monitoring, namely establishing indicators, setting up systems for collecting that information based on indicators, analyzing the data and using the information in effective project management. Indicators are measurable signs that something has been done or achieved. Indicators ask the following questions: how many, how often, how much. Qualitative information such as how people perceive about the project and feel about the situation can also be collected. All this information is analyzed and this helps the manager to know whether the project is going in the right direction or not. Now we move to the steps in evaluation. There are 6 steps in evaluation. Firstly, the first step is in identifying the stakeholders. We should be able to identify who the particular stakeholders are. Secondly, to understand the program. The program which the evaluator is going to evaluate has to be understood well by the entire team. Thirdly, designing an evaluation methodology. A methodology for evaluation has to be developed. Fourthly, entering the field and collecting the evidence. Fifthly, analyzing the results. And sixthly, reporting the findings. In the evaluation process, 5 criteria should be kept in mind, namely relevance, efficiency, effectiveness, impact and sustainability. Some of the questions asked for relevance are: to what extent are the objectives of the intervention still valid? Are the activities and output of the intervention consistent with the overall goals and mission of the organization? Are the activities and output of the intervention consistent with the intended impacts and effect? Okay. Some questions which are asked for effectiveness are: to what extent was the project purpose achieved? To what extent is it likely to be achieved? What were the major factors influencing the achievement or non-achievement of the project purpose? Okay. Some questions are asked on efficiency, like were the activities cost efficient, were the objectives achieved on time, was the intervention implemented in the most efficient way compared to the alternatives. Okay. Some questions are also asked on impacts. What has happened as a result of the intervention? Is there a real change in the life of the people? What is the real difference that the intervention has made? And how many people has been positively or negatively affected? And most importantly, on the sustainability aspect, there are some questions asked, such as what extent did the benefits of the intervention continue after the intervention period got over? What are the major factors which influence the sustainability of the intervention? Hope you understood the criteria and the questions to be kept in mind while you do the evaluation. Another important document in the evaluation is the log frame document or the log frame approach. Log frame approach is a tool used in project management which developed in the 1970s by Rosenberg from the US aid. Log frame is an analytical tool used in planning, monitoring and evaluating projects. It derives its name from the logical linkages set out by the planner and it connects with the project means with the end. LFA is the favorite tool of most of the evaluators, and there are 9 steps in preparing an LFA or log frame analysis, namely analyzing the project context, doing a thorough stakeholder analysis and understanding the problem by doing a situational analysis, then developing the objectives, planning the activities, planning the resources, developing indicators or measurements, finally to understand the risk and to analyze the assumptions behind it. Okay, so now we will move on to the advantages of monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation systems can improve implementation through early warning of the problems. It can provide feedback regarding the outcome of activities and give suggestions for improvement. Monitoring and evaluation can improve implementation by measuring whether the planned and implemented activities are actually producing the intended outcomes and whether the revised or additional activities are necessary. And finally, monitoring and evaluation system measures the outcome and result. This will promote accountability of the project team and stimulate the performance. This brings us to the end of this lecture. Let's do a short recap. Monitoring and evaluation is integral part of social welfare administration. We learned that there are 3 key aspects in monitoring evaluation, namely efficiency, effectiveness and impact. We learned that monitoring and evaluation process is cyclic in nature and vital in the lifespan of project and development of a new project. We also understood the 5 criteria required in evaluation, namely relevance, effectiveness, efficiency, impact and sustainability. And finally, we understood that log frame analysis is one of the tools used in effective monitoring and evaluation. Thanks for attending this lecture.